Hello, everyone. Good evening. Thank you all so much for joining in for today's session. I'm sure all of you are aware of what today's session is all about, but today we're going to talk all about Navratri. So, Navratri is coming up very soon, right? So, today we're going to tackle and tell you everything about Navratri and how you can manage diabetes during the Navratri fasting. And, obviously after this, we have Diwali coming up, Dasara coming up. So a lot of festivals coming up. So we thought we'd kickstart this series and talk about Navratri fasting first. So for that, we have with us Health Coach Anuja, who is so kindly, agreed to be here today and share her knowledge with all of you. So welcome to the session, Anuja. I think over to you. Can go ahead, introduce yourself, and start with the session.
Thank you. Thank you, Shifa. So, hi everyone. I'm Anuja. I work as a health coach with Sugarfit. So, today I am just here to give you a little bit hands on Navratri diet while you're on the diabetes reversal journey or managing your diabetes. So, before going ahead, I'll just share my screen so that you guys will be able to see what I'm going to talk about. Okay. So is my screen visible to you? You can just comment in a comment section. That is fine. Yes or no?
Your screen is visible, Anuja. You can go ahead.
Right. Perfect. So today, as I said, we are going to talk about Navratri fasting and how we can do it in the diabetes. Okay. So table of content for today's session is going to be, I'll just brief you about some tips of Navratri fasting for your weight loss. If you are looking for a weight loss journey, there are some challenges that people with diabetes face during the Navratri fasting. So we are going to talk about that and some nutrition intake, which is important during your fasting days. That also we will be discussing. Shiva, is my slides moving for you guys?
So as of now, I can see your first slide.
Okay, hold a second. I'll just share it again. Now?
It's just, yes, it's we can see your screen now.
Okay, great. So basically, by end of this session today, you all will have a brief idea of how you're going to do fasting during this Navratri, what to eat, what not to eat. By end of this session, I'll share a sample plan which you all can refer to while you're doing Navratri fasting. Okay, then coming to the Navratri fasting and the benefits of it during the weight loss. When it comes to fasting in Navratri, okay, you can use this opportunity basically for the weight loss journey. Some tips which I would like to highlight here is make sure that you will take small and frequent meals, okay, with the snacks basically. So there has to be 3 major meals with some small snacks if you feel hungry in between. Do not miss any of the meals, otherwise you may feel fatigue. Okay. Secondly, instead of sweet juices and any carbonated beverages like sodas, take whole fruit, smoothies, buttermilk as a healthy alternative. Don't use sodas for for if you're feeling thirsty. Make sure you will have good amount of water throughout the day. Make sure you will take whole fruit or make some smoothie or some buttermilk instead of taking the carbonated beverages and sweetened juices. Okay. Third, as I said, keep sipping on waters in between your meals to stay hydrated. Very important. And fourth is add small walks in between your meals for physical activity. You can also perform some small activities, workouts like yogas, like 15-20 minutes of workout. That is perfectly fine. And the last, avoid fried food and oily snacking. Okay, as that can lead to high calorie intake during your day, which will not be helpful achieving your health goal. Okay, so these tips I have taken into consideration, considering there are different ways of each and every one of us fasting in the Navratris. Okay, there are some people who eat only once in a day and fast for the remaining. There are some people who take small and frequent meals. So there are different types of fasting during the Navratri for each one of us. So I have tried and given some tips here which you'll be able to follow even if you're having meal once in a day, even if you're having frequent meals and everything. Okay. Here further, we will be going into the details and the deep knowledge about how we will be able to manage the Navratri fasting and how we can do it considering that we have diabetes. Okay. So the first and very important thing which I would like to talk upon is basically challenges of diabetes management in Navratri fasting. Why it is challenging for the people uh, to manage their diabetes while these 9 days when they are fasting. Okay. As the meal pattern basically throughout the day changes for many people, as I said, many people fast throughout the day, have only one meal in a day. Many people take small and frequent meals. So these changes happens during these 9 days of Navratri. Okay. Some people only eat one food as a meal, or some may have only one whole meal throughout the day. We have continuous social gatherings happening throughout these 9 days, right? So how many of you agree with me that we have continuous social gatherings happening throughout these days? You can just comment yes or no in the comment section, right? So at these gatherings, we usually tend to indulge on some high fat, high calorie rich foods, which at improper timings, which can lead to sudden changes and have harmful impact on our sugar levels. Okay, it can spike up the sugar levels. Okay, on the one hand, it can lead to hypoglycemias because some people are following one meal pattern and there are long meal gaps. That is why it can lead to hypoglycemias. And on the other hand, it can lead to post meal hyperglycemia as well. Okay, because of high calorie snacking. So today we will majorly be focusing on what to eat, how to manage our fasting days so that our sugars will be in the control and will not go into any hypoglycemic episode. Okay, I hope this my voice and everything is clear to you guys. Okay, the first and very important thing, to whom fasting is not advisable with the diabetes. Okay, even if in the fasting one should not ignore their health. Okay, according to me, your health should be your priority than anything else. So here are some people who have, let's say, diabetic ketoacidosis, severe hypoglycemia episodes. If you had a hospitalization in last 2 months, history of recurrent hypoglycemias, if you have poor glycemic controls, like if you have HbA1c more than 10%, then people with type 1 diabetes who are taking insulin, then pregnant women, elderly people, then any severe acute illness, diabetic nephropathy, renal insufficiency, or any chronic dialysis, advanced diabetic retinopathy, any severe complications with diabetes, these people, I would request them to not fast during the Navratri because that can have a severe impact on their health, which is not advisable. Okay, going next. So basically, nutrition, how we will be taking care of nutrition during our Navratri fasting. So meal pattern for each one of us differs person to person. Calorie intake for each one of us differs person to person. Some people, as I said, might eat once in a day. Some will have small and frequent meals. What is important here to consider is what is in your plate. What are you having in your plate? Okay. We generally in fasting period end up having high carbohydrate meals, right? Like shabudana khichdi, or any fried thing for that matter, we end up having high carbohydrate and high calorie meals. What we have to focus is, whereas we should be having a balance of each of the nutrient in our plate. Okay, like adding some complex carbohydrates with low calorie fluids like buttermilk instead of adding some simple carbohydrates with high calorie drinks like sodas. You can swap your simple carbohydrates with the complex carbohydrates. You can swap your high calorie drinks like sodas with your, or sweetened juices for that matter, with your buttermilk or lemon water or coconut water, right? These are the options you can swap with. Okay, we have to make sure that we will have adequate intake of water throughout the day, so that it will help us avoid binging, over indulging on the food, and having a portion control and not getting any craving for that particular day. So make sure that you will take your, you'll make sure your water intake is good throughout the day. Okay, and lastly, as I again said, do some physical activity. Before having the major meals, you can do your workouts, because after that you'll be having your balanced meal. So your body will get each and every nutrient. And post your meals, you can continue doing your 15-20 minutes walk. That is perfectly fine. Okay. Now let's understand how we can balance out the nutrient one by one. Okay. Great. So nutrients which we should consider and which are important is carbohydrates. So 25% of your plate should be filled with complex carbohydrates, even if you are fasting or not fasting. That is perfectly fine. Okay. There should be incorporation of complex carbohydrate into your foods, which are permitted in fasting period, obviously, to provide you adequate glucose and energy for your organs to work throughout the day. Okay. Some sources, if I list here, is basically kuttu ka atta, then shinghada, rajgira, makhana, samak rice. These are the things which you can have in the complex carbohydrate. Okay. In addition to this carbs, you should always be combining it with some protein and fiber sources. Okay. To make sure that you will not get any high sugar spikes throughout the day. Okay, so for the protein sources, if I have to give you some simple sources, you can go for low dairy fats during the fasting. Okay, like low skim milk or curd made up of skim milk, homemade paneer without using any vinegar. You can use lemon to make the paneer. That is perfectly fine. Okay, if you want to have some good options, protein options in the breakfast, you can make smoothies including your fruits and milk. That is perfectly fine, because smoothies made up of fruit, milks, and some nuts is a wholesome meal while you're doing the fasting, because milk will give you protein, then the fruit will give you good amount of fiber plus carbohydrates, and nuts will give you good amount of healthy fats and will keep you satiated for a longer period of time. Okay, then very important is type of oil that we use. Okay, so do not use any refined oils. Make sure that you will use unrefined oils, and make sure for omega-3 fatty acids, you will add some nuts and some seeds into your daily routine, which are allowed into your fasting period. Okay, these are the three major things which we have to focus on during our fasting. Okay, then combining fibrous foods, fibrous vegetables basically, with high carbohydrate and fat rich meals may help you lower your blood sugar levels. Okay, and will help you specifically to lower your post meal sugar levels. Right. So whole fruits with pulp, fresh vegetables, and fibers we should be choosing instead of concentrated juices. Again, I would like to highlight here, do not consume your concentrated juices, sweetened juices, carbonated juices. Instead, switch to whole fruit, switch to fresh vegetables. That will give you good amount of vitamins, minerals, as well as fibers. Okay, make sure you will focus on that. So some snacks option, if I have to give you here, you can go with fruit jam.
So sorry to interrupt, but I think there
Yeah.
is an issue with slides. Could you just maybe reshare your slides again?
Okay, so it got stuck.
Yes.
Hold a second.
Yes, this is fine.
So now it is fine.
Yes, yes.
Okay. So what I was talking about is, so basically some options I was giving you for the snacking purpose, which will help you get your vitamins, minerals right. It's fruits chat. Okay. Some vegetable salad, custards without sugar, obviously, ice creams without sugar, milkshakes without sugar, and vegetables, salad, as I said. Sometimes you can have salted lassi, not the sugar one, containing natural fruits as a sweeteners you can use. Okay, that is a good option. And in between your major meals, you can opt this as a snacks. Okay, the important is your water and fluids. It is beneficial to include low calorie beverages, drinks like, let's say, as I given you some examples, lemon water, then you can have green tea, you can have chas, you can have mattha, you can have pudina water, jaljeera. These are the options, coconut water. These all options you can have during your fasting to keep you hydrated, to keep you full. It will give you a good amount of satiety as well for this, in between your major meals, basically. Okay, then herbs and spices, why it is important, it is very important to add flavors to your meals so that you will enjoy these 9 days of fasting, basically. So try different recipes during this Navratri to improve the flavors, taste, and beneficial effects of these herbs and spices onto your blood glucose levels. Okay, they can be added into your tea, into your milk and milk preparations. Other than that, you can add it into any of your beverages and any of your recipes. That is perfectly fine. But make sure that you will use all these herbs and spices during your 9 days of period. Okay. Now, let's talk about quantity. So as I said, eating small and frequent meals are important. Eat small and frequent meals at the intervals of, I'll say, approximately 3 hours. Choosing healthier options among the foods will allow you during the fasting instead of larger meals at one time. So basically what I'm saying, have small and frequent meals. If you skip the meals every 3 hours, there are chances that you will have a big meal or overindulge on that particular one meal at the end of the day. Okay. Instead of the larger meals usually taken at end of the day, because these often contains, as I said, high carbohydrates, high fats, high sugars, high calorie, and includes sometimes it can happen, you will indulge on some sweetened beverages as well. Okay. Then, very important, avoid simple sugars and the products containing simple sugars. So read your food labels so that you'll get to know if it has simple sugars or not. Avoid having simple sugars throughout the day. You can instead go with the natural sugar sources like your fruits. Okay. Then, very important, plan your next day meals today to avoid eating larger portions at one time. Okay. Make sure to plan 3 major meals and some snacks in between if you feel hungry. Okay. But plan it a day prior so that you will not overindulge on any of the food. Okay. Then let's talk about the sample diet chart I have mentioned here. Please note that this plan is not personalized for any of your requirements. Please consult your healthcare provider before starting with this plan. Okay, so before going ahead with this sample diet chart, I would like to ask one simple question. Who all are there here who fast continuously for 9 days? Just reply I or me in the chat box. That is perfectly fine. So this simple diet chart I have given two options in every meal, let's say. So for breakfast, you can have skim milk, obviously low fat milk, some soaked nuts, almonds and walnuts, not the cashews, with amaranth porridge. Okay, this is one option. If you have good amount of time in your hand, you can make this. If you don't have good amount of time in your hand, you can just mix skim milk, one apple, small apple, and some soap nuts together into the mixer and grind it so that it will be easier for you to have your breakfast if you are in hurry. Okay, then in the mid morning, you can have coconut water, lemon water. You can also have jaljeera, other water options which I have given you. Jaljeera, you can have buttermilk, you can have mattha, you can have pudina water, you can have anything that you would like. You can make it and have it. Okay. Then coming to the major meal, that is your lunch. So one option I have given here is your kuttuki chapati, or you can make shingada chapati as well. You can combine it with some cucumber raita, lauki raita, or red pumpkin raita. That is perfectly fine. And you can have a glass of buttermilk, which will help you keep full and satiated for a longer period of time. The second option, you can have it samak rice with again some raita for the fiber and protein sources, and again a glass of buttermilk to keep you satiated. Okay. Evening snacks, you can take your green tea or black tea without sugar for sure, and some nuts for that matter. You can take peanuts, mixed seeds, perfectly fine. Sometimes you can add salted lassi as well, not the sweetened one. Again, I want to highlight here, you can take it again with some mixed nuts, mixed seeds. That is perfectly fine. So that it will give you a good amount of satiety and you'll not feel hungry and you'll not overindulge during your dinner time. Okay, perfect. Then lastly, some dinner options I have given you. You can make a salad out of paneer, but make sure that paneer should be homemade, because the paneer which you get outside, they use vinegar to make the paneer. When you make the paneer at home, you can use lemon, which can be allowed in your fasting diet. So paneer salad you can take. Then second option is some apple or pumpkin kheer without sugar, obviously, because apple and pumpkin has their own sweetness already, right? So you can utilize that, and you can also have pumpkin soup for that matter with some homemade paneer roasted. Okay. And if you feel hungry after that as well, or if you have a habit of having bedtime snack, you can go with turmeric milk without sugar. Okay. This was totally a sample diet chart, not personalized for any one of them. This is just to give you a brief idea what all things you can plan and how you can plan your daily routine. Okay. You have to consult with your healthcare provider before starting with this plan, or get your personalized plan made from your healthcare provider. Okay. And the lastly, I would like to focus upon, or you must not forget these things, is keep a check on your sugar levels, because when you are fasting, as I said, if you have longer meal gaps, okay, if you are let's say having 4 hours or 5 hours of meal gaps in between two meals, it is really important for you to know your sugar levels, so that you'll get to know if you are having any hypoglycemic episode or not. Okay, so keep checking your sugars, different types every day. Okay, check one day fasting, post meal, post lunch, whenever you feel like. If you're having a longer meal gap, keep a check on your sugars on the glucometer. Okay, do not miss any of your medicines. Take your medicines on your time. Okay, even if we are on fasting, we are having carbohydrates throughout the day, so it is important to take your medicines and not miss on that. Okay, eat balanced meal, as I said. Make sure you will have carbs, protein, fats, fiber, everything into that one plate while you're having your major meals, at least like your breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Okay. Stay hydrated, keep sipping on fluids, keep sipping on water throughout the day. This will this will play a very important role, I'll tell you, because if you'll not have enough amount of water, you will crave for food. You will overindulge on the next particular meal which we have planned. So make sure sip on the waters, and lastly, enjoy your Garba dance for 9 days, because many of you will be having the Garba live events happening nearby. So visit that, utilize it as your physical activity, and enjoy your Garba dance. Other than that, you can also do the physical activity before you are having your major meal, and do not forget to have your post meal walks. These are the major things we have to make sure that while fasting, during the diabetes, while fasting, we are on a diabetes reversal journey. We have to make sure we'll keep these things into our mind. Okay,
Great. Thank
so
you so
yeah.
Thank you so much Anuja. It was such an informative presentation. So we're now open for questions. So if you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the comments, and we'll answer them, right? But Anuja, I think there is one question, right? So it is basically they're saying that they check their sugar levels once in the, during as soon as they wake up for fasting. So how many times should we check in, during the Navratri time? How many times is recommended in a day to check your sugar levels?
I will recommend minimum 2 times they should be checking, because fasting, if you are checking, that is going to give you an idea that how your empty stomach sugar is looking like. But as some people, as I said, they fast and they eat only once in a day, right? They should be checking their sugars at least twice a day, so that they'll get to know if there is hypoglycemic episode happening or not. Other than that, I'll suggest everyone, I guess, during the fasting, check it twice at least in a day. One has to be post meal always.
Thank you. So there is another question. They're asking, basically, can I use honey to sweeten my tea during, the Navratri fasting? So what would you recommend for, this?
My take on this right now is, see, honey, sugar, jaggery, you take whatever, it's same. It's gonna give you same amount of calorie, it's gonna give you same amount of sugar content into it. So instead of that, use natural sweeteners like fruits you can add, right? Make a milkshake of the fruit, that is perfectly fine. But I'll say avoid having honey, jaggery, and sugar, because these three comes in the same hut, we can say that, and these three had same impact on your sugar levels at the every time.
Got it. So there is another question that this is basically on exercise, right? So they're asking, what is the best time to exercise when you are on a fast?
So best time to exercise when you're on a fast is before your major meals. Okay. As I said, because when you're having your meal, if you'll work out after that, there are chances that you'll feel hungry a lot again. Okay. And after that, if you are not having a balanced meal, that will not help in the recovery also. Okay. So try and work out before your major meals, maybe before your lunch or before your dinner, so that that particular balanced meal will help you in recovery as well, and you will not feel hungry after that as well.
Got it. So there is another question. They're asking if sugar-free or stevia can be taken in place of sugar.
Stevia leaves can be used. Okay. Nowadays, you get stevia in different types, sugar. I have heard that there is stevia sugar as well, stevia drops as well, stevia, the sugar-free tablets like stevia as well. So I'll still prefer having natural stevia wherever you get stevia leaves, that you can use. Don't use this other types, because that might have been contaminated with other sugar sources as well.
Okay, got it. So there is another question. They're asking basically, what is a CGM and from where can I get the CGM? This is the question.
Okay, good question. So CGM is basically continuous glucose monitor. Okay, this if I'll give you a brief in short, that this will give you 24-hour sugar trend, what is happening during your day, during your sleep time, in a graphical representation, obviously. And you can get it from, if you're a Sugarfit member already, you can get it from Sugarfit, or we have the CGM into our packages as well. But it will help you understand your 24 hours trend, whatever you eat, how much sugar, like how is your body reacting towards that particular meal. If you're working out, how is your body reacting towards that particular workout? Is it helping? Is it spiking up your sugars or it is not? How is your sugars during your sleep time? This is also important. So these all things you'll get to know once you'll start using the CGM.
Got it. So another question, Anuja, is basically, they're saying that they have hypoglycemia very often. So what can they do to, not have hypoglycemia, and what should they do if their sugar levels are less than, 75 or 70?
So people who are, frequently facing hypoglycemia, I'll suggest them not to fast, first of all. Second is, if you are fasting, make sure you will add very frequent snacks. Every 2 hours, you can add some of the another snack, which will help your sugar to be into the normal zone and not go beyond 70. So that one thing I would suggest, but still my take on this would be don't fast.
So there is another question, Anuja, which is, quite the opposite. They're saying that they have a very high fasting sugar level, but their post-meal sugar levels are under control and under normal. So what can they do to reduce the fasting?
Okay. So first I would ask them to, I'll suggest them to check their sugars sometimes into the midnight so that they'll find out the actual reason behind it. And if the sugars are going low in the night, you can, have some nuts or some snacks at bedtime. Otherwise, if your sugars are doing high only in the midnight, you can add some apple cider vinegar before going to the bed, or you can add some methi water before going to bed so that it will help you improve your fasting sugar level.
Got it. So the next question also is on exercise, right? So they're basically asking that they do a lot of walking. They get about 10K to 15K steps in a day, but that's all they do as of now. Should they start off with any other exercise, in order to see, more changes with their blood sugar levels?
Okay. So basically, walking is a very easy exercise they are doing. That is perfectly fine. They can keep doing the walking, but they should combine it with some strength training. Okay. Because their muscles also need glucose. When they'll start doing strength training, their muscles will start utilizing the glucose and the sugar further will go down. The sugar further will come down in the normal range. So always combine your walking, that is your cardio workout, with some strength training. You can do it at your home also, that is fine. You can do some body weight training like squats, you can do some wall push-ups. These all things you can start doing, small exercises, which will help your muscles also to utilize the glucose.
Got it. So the next question, Anuja, that basically asking or saying that they, don't get a lot of good quality sleep. They keep, waking up in the night. So what can they do to, get proper sleep? Because they also have high fasting sugar levels, which their coach has told them is because of the, improper sleep. So what can they do to improve their sleep?
Firstly, if you are having fluids before night, let's say nearby your sleep, I will suggest don't have any fluids, let's say at least 1 hour before to your sleep. So if you're waking for the urination purpose, you'll not wake up at that particular time. Secondly, if you're using any technologies before going to the bed, avoid doing that, because that is not going to help your sleep hormone to get secreted in your body. And if you're reading any book, for that matter, if you're doing any other activities, if you're reading any book, listening to any podcast, don't listen to or don't read that book in your, let's say, on your bed, because you get comfortable at that particular point and you keep on doing that particular thing. Okay, avoid doing that. Read your book somewhere else and then go to bed once you feel asleep, once you feel sleepy.
Got it.
These things you can try.
Got it. So we have another question which is related to the CGM. So they're asking, what is the difference between, CGM and glucometer? Is it different or is it the same?
Okay, very good question. So CGM and glucometer both are the different things. Both gives you different reading, because see, CGM, if you'll ask me, has no needle into it. Okay, it has a fiber-like filament. Okay, that does not reaches your blood at all. That just reaches the fluid which is available below your skin. Okay, and glucometer, at the other hand, reaches furthermore into your blood and takes the reading from your blood. Okay, so there can be the difference of approximately 30-35% in the both the readings, but there is no competition what is accurate. Both are accurate, because glucometer is not going to give you 24 hours trend of your sugar levels at all. Glucometer is going to give you the sugar when you prick. CGM is going to give you the trend of overall 24 hours, what is happening into your body. So there is no competition between both, what is accurate. It's just that the difference will be there into the sugar readings of 30-35%. That is because the source of information for both of them is different, and there is some travel time happens with the glucose going from the blood to the interstitial fluid. That is why it differs.
Got it. So Anuja, there's another question, right? So they're basically saying that their sugar levels between 3 a.m. or at 3 a.m. is around 130 mg per dl. So do you have any suggestions for them?
So 130 mg per dl is normal at around 3. So if like, is their fasting spiking up, or this fasting is also normal?
So they haven't mentioned that. So Bindu ma'am, if you can just go ahead and mention that
Yeah,
as well more in detail, we'd be able to help you better.
yes.
Okay, got it. So I think we'll move on to the next question, right? So they're saying that, okay, so this person is 74 years old and they basically do treadmill walking. So they're asking, is it right or not?
If you are able to do, they can do it. There is no restrictions on physical activity as such. If they have no complications, and if they have no complications related, or they have no pain into their legs and everything, they can do it. No issues.
Got it. So next question also is related to exercise. Basically, they're saying they have knee pain, right? So how can what kind of exercises would you recommend for someone with knee pain, or what precautions would you ask them to take?
So what I'll suggest here is, the person with the knee pain can easily do the cycling while sitting, not the cycling when you are standing and doing the cycle, because that can directly bring the pressure on their knees. But they can do the cycling while they're sitting, so that there is no pressure on their knees, and still they can do the workouts. And the normal plain surface walks and everything, these all things they can do. That is perfectly fine.
Okay, got it. So the next question is by Miss Pooja. So she's saying that she has LADA diabetes. So she's asking, what is that? Can you explain it?
Okay. Very vast question. Okay. LADA diabetes is basically the diabetes, you can say we call it as 1.5, not type 2, not type 1. It begins in adulthood. Okay. It is not a type of type 1, because it is not starting in the childhood. It begins in adulthood. It might need insulin for the correction. It might not need insulin for the correction. So it is a very vast thing. I'll say it is autoimmune, obviously, and the metabolic features are, symptoms and everything are same like type 2 only, but the some parameters in diagnostic does change for the LADA profile, and that is why we call it as LADA, basically.
Got it. Thank you, Anuja. So the next question, basically, they're saying is that they feel extremely hungry, even though they've had a proper meal, they still feel very hungry. So what can they do to, curb this hunger and, reduce the feelings of hunger, basically?
Okay, very good question. So one thing they can check upon is their water intake first. If they're having very little water or less water throughout the day, they're going to feel hungry, because usually people get confused between these two things. Are they thirsty or are they hungry? So make sure that you're having good amount of water throughout the day. And secondly, make sure your meals are balanced between carbohydrate, protein, fibers. Because if you will only have carbohydrate and fiber and miss upon the protein, you are going to feel hungry afterwards, or you are going to crave for food afterwards. If you'll balance out these meal patterns, then your food cravings and your hunger will be, the hunger pangs will be less as compared to now.
Got it. So next question, Anuja, they're basically asking, after how many hours do we need to check our postprandial sugar levels or post-meal sugars?
Okay, very good. So once you are done with your meal, you have to check after 1.5 hours. Okay. Again, I'll repeat, once you are done with your meal, then 1.5 hours. If you are calculating the time from starting of your meal, that has to be 2 hours.
Got it. Thank you, Anuja. So the next question basically is they're asking, should they change their insulin dosage during fasting. So they are taking insulin morning and in the night. So should the dosages be changed during the fast?
So insulin, they can basically consult their doctor, because the doctor will be a good person to comment on that, because they know their insulin, what they are using, how much time they are taking it, and he'll be able to give them a suggestion about the insulin. That would be the better thing to do rather than I'll be suggesting it.
Got it. Thank you, Anuja. So moving on, the next question is they're asking basically, okay, so the question is if there is a gap in between meals, right? Does that lead to, a sugar spike? Can that lead to sugar spikes when there is a gap between meals?
That can lead to sugar spike for some people, because if you are not having any food, there is still a stored glucose into your body. So your liver stores the glucose in the form of glycogen. Okay. And if you're not having food and your body needs energy to do some, or your organ needs energy for that matter, to do their functioning, your liver will start releasing that glycogen into the form of glucose again into your bloodstream. Okay. And due to that as well, there can be a spike. But that is very unusual to see this spike. Like whatever I have seen till now, I haven't seen a automated spike going without any food right now.
Got it. Thank you, Anuja. So the next question basically is they're asking, okay, they are basically having a foot pain and also some burning sensation in the feet. They're asking, is it because of diabetes or, and how can I help or what can I do for this?
Okay, so foot pain and the burning sensation in feet are the symptoms of diabetes. Okay, so you must visit to the nearby doctor so that they'll help you examine the same.
Got it. So the next question, Anuja, so they're basically asking, for protein intake, right? During, since you've spoken about balanced meals, I'm assuming. So for protein intake, what kind of protein is the best to be taken, during fasting?
Okay, so during fasting, as I said, they can take low-fat dairy. Okay, they can take skim milk, good option. They can take curd, buttermilk, good option. Then homemade paneer can be used. Again, I repeat, homemade paneer, because when we are fasting, we don't generally use vinegars and all. And if you take the paneer from outside, they use vinegar to make the paneer. So once you make the paneer at home, you can use lemon to make the paneer, and you can have it as a good protein source. So I guess the best source to have is homemade paneer, because that will give you good amount of protein.
Got it. So the next question, Anuja, they're basically saying that they had read about intermittent fasting. So is that something that is good for diabetes or is something that can, will help in management of diabetes?
Okay, so it's a good question, but again, it will be depending on person to person. There are people who respond well to intermittent fasting and their sugars come in the normal range, but there are people who doesn't get comfortable with intermittent fasting, and their sugars also will go into there are chances that the sugars can go into the hypo episodes and everything. So it totally depends how your body reacts to the intermittent fasting and how much hours the intermittent fasting is getting followed and everything in detail again.
Got it. So the next question, again, this is by Miss Nancy. So she's saying that her fasting sugar is between 140 to 150, but her post lunch is normal. This has been happening since the last 7 years. So she's asking what could be the reason for this.
So there can be like two reasons. So basically, Mansi, I would suggest you to check your midnight sugar once. If it is low, then your body is compensating for that low sugar and your fasting is coming on the higher side, which we in clinical terms call that Somogi effect. And second is, if there are some hormones which gets activated during our midnight time, basically, so that our body is prepared to do their daily function throughout the day. That can also lead to the high fasting sugar levels, which we called as dawn phenomena. So to find out the actual reason, you have to check your sugars at mid time, not once, at least for a week, so that you'll get a trend why it is happening. Is it because your sugars are going low and then your body is compensating to compensating to make the sugars into your blood for the normal functioning or not?
Got it. So next question, Anuja, this is basically okay. So they're saying that they have both diabetes and hypothyroidism. So are there any, things or suggestions you would like to give them? Any foods that they should be avoiding with when they have both these conditions together? And they're also asking if there is any connection between the two. Is it because of diabetes, the thyroid is there?
Yes. So there is indirect connection, obviously. Okay. So hypothyroidism leads to a little bit of weight gain. Okay. And again, that weight gain hypothyroidism people can also see insulin resistance as well. So there is an indirect connection or direct connection, as I say, in between your thyroid and your sugars. The foods that a person with thyroid should avoid is basically all the cruciferous vegetables, because that is going to interact with their thyroid hormone, and the thyroid hormone parameters might change. And some soy, like basically soy products like soya bean, soya milk, soya chunks, tofu, these things they should be avoiding in their diet to make sure their thyroid is in normal range. And obviously they have other things to have to make changes into their sugar levels.
Got it. So the next question they're asking, can we take roasted peanuts and makhana as a snack?
Yes, it can be taken. Just make sure if your cholesterol is a little bit haywire, then the peanuts needs to be considered having on the lesser side as compared to makhana, but they can have it. But make sure, again, makhana, I would like to highlight here, if you're having makhana, make sure you are making it at, you're bringing plain makhana and roasting it at your home, because outside flavored makhana, what you get nowadays has high sodium intake and everything. So it is better to bring a plain makhana and roast it at home.
Got it. So the next question, so basically they're saying that, they have started with, strength training, and basically this was suggested by their coach. So they also want to know, how can you know, about your protein intake, and how can you know that, if you are building muscle and lean muscle mass?
Okay, the best thing is checking your waist measurement, because if your waist measurement is dropping, then this is the sign that you are dropping on your fat mass, not the muscle mass. Okay, so this is the best thing they can do. They can do the waist measurement. Also, they can do their triceps measurements and everything to know if they are losing on the fat mass or the muscle mass at home.
Got it. So the next question, this is basically by Miss Noor. So she's saying that she has lost a lot of weight, after, for a couple of, after her diagnosis, she's just lost a lot of weight. So what can she do to, gain some weight? Because she also feels very tired all the time.
Okay. Again, here she has to, Ms. Noori, what you can do is focus on having high protein food. Okay, because if you have recently diagnosed, this can be the thing with many people that who are diagnosed with diabetes and losing on the weight, because their sugars are pretty much high. So make sure that you will balance out your meals. Make sure you will lesser amount of carbs, and you will add a good amount of protein, so that you will not lose on your muscles, and you will gain some muscles back again with controlling your diabetes. So you have to make sure that you will have a good high protein diet throughout the day.
Got it. So next question, Anuja, they're basically saying that they don't like to have raw vegetables, right? So what can I do? Because, salads are always recommended. So what can I do if I don't want to eat raw veggies?
So there are some options which you can do is you can have some stir fry vegetables, okay? Like have it on, just fry some vegetables on pan without oil. That would be suggested by me. Then you can have some raita. Okay. But raita again has a raw vegetable. So if you don't like raita as well, I guess the stir fry vegetables is the good option to have. Or some vegetable soup also is a good option to have.
Got it. So next question, Anuja, they're saying that, they have a lot of, erratic meal timings, right? So they don't eat their meals at the same time is what they're trying to say. And basically they have heard a lot that, it's very important, that meal timings are very important. So what would you suggest for this? Like if someone who is, having difficulties with maintaining a meal timing, or, if it's even important, what would be your take on this?
So my take on this is a very common thing which is happening nowadays because of maybe working hours and everything with people. So my take on this would be, even if you are having your meal late, make sure you'll add some snack in between so that your body will not go into the starvation. Very important. So whatever you are having, make sure you're having in the balance. Why I'm asking you to add the snack in between, so that you will not overindulge on your major meal whenever you're having it. So add a snack in between so that you will be able to have your planned meal in a good balanced amount and not overeat at that point.
Got it. So next question is, this is from Miss Kiran. So she's saying that, she has PCOS and she's also gained a lot of weight recently. And so she's basically asking, what can she do to, she also has diabetes. So what can she do to reduce her weight and also reduce her sugar levels? Her fasting is now 180.
80. So I'll suggest her to basically first, visit a gynac nearby to get a treatment on PCOS. Secondly, she can try some seed cycling if she have heard of. So seed cycling is nothing but incorporation of 4 seeds into the diet, which will help reduce the symptoms of PCOS. So that comes like pumpkin seed, flax seeds, white teal, and your sunflower seeds. Okay. But to start with it, I'll suggest her to consult her healthcare provider or dietitian or gynac so that they'll be able to guide her according to her lifestyle routine when to start it.
Got it. So we have just a couple more questions. I'll just quickly take them up as well. So again, this is by Miss Mansi. So she's saying that she usually finishes her dinner by 8:30. So then what time should she check her sugar levels? And and if it is low, then what should she do then?
Okay, so if she's talking about post meal, she should be checking her post meal by 10. And if it is low, then she should add some bedtime snack. But that bedtime snack again has to be no carbohydrates, like low carbohydrate snack. So she can have some nuts, some chia seeds, some skim milk. These all are fine, but don't have any snacks which is like makhana or some murmura or any, let's say for example, if you'll have any heavy thing, don't have like that. Make sure you will have a bedtime snack which is not high in carbohydrate.
Got it. But I think her main thing was that she's having a high fasting. So I'm assuming she meant the late night reading. So
Late
in that
night,
case, yeah.
yes. So
So in
that's
that
why.
case, what time would you recommend that, she checks her sugar levels?
So I guess before immediately going to the bedtime, she can try checking, or during the midnight around 2 to 3 in the morning if she wakes
Got
up
it.
that time. Yeah.
Got it. Thank you, Anuja. So next question is from Mr. Girish. So he's asking, is millets responsible for the rise in sugar levels if taken in breakfast?
So again, Girish, millets are a source of carbohydrate. Okay. If you are balancing out it with good amount of protein and fiber, the spike you will see is lesser. But if you are only having millets in the breakfast, yes, that can lead to the spike because they are source of carbohydrate.
Got it. So I think that was the end of all the questions, and we're almost out of time as well now. So thank you so much, Anuja, for such a wonderful session. I think this session was much needed because Navratri is just coming up I think next week, right? So I hope the
The
session was
15th, yeah,
helpful.
2 days.
Yes. Right. So hope the session was helpful to everyone and you found something new and learned something new today. And I just want to thank you as well for taking all the questions so patiently and for all the audience as well for asking such great questions. Thank you all so much for joining in. Is there anything you'd like to say, Anuja, before we end?
I would just like to say people enjoy their Garba as a physical activity because this is the only time we get to play, like go and dance on the floor. So enjoy the Garba, guys, and enjoy your Navratri.
Great. Thank you so much, Anuja. Thank you all so much for joining in. And we'll see you all next Friday with another new session. Thank you,
Thank
everyone.
you.
Thank you so much, Anuja.
Bye.
Bye. Take care. Have a great evening, everyone.